Why do toxic individuals behave in such a harmful manner? What compels people to behave in this manner? It is a well-known reality that toxic individuals flourish in positions of control. Certain individuals flourish in positions of authority simply because they enjoy being in charge, instead of the kind of loving and healthy control that is designed to maintain health and safety. The type of control that keeps people small is demonstrated by toxic people. In order to fulfill their goal of keeping people little and in check, they first keep them small and under control, which is precisely what they do. This will present itself in a number of ways, including criticism, judgment, tyranny, and anything else necessary to retain someone in their current position. As a result of deviating from what a toxic person expects of you, he or she will employ more toxic behavior to force you back into the box they think you must be in for their own selfish interests. Toxic people frequently pick up their behavior from their surroundings. It could be as a result of their upbringing, or whether as a result of exposure to toxic behavior in others, or as a result of being overpraised without being taught the importance of empathy and compassion for those in their immediate environment. The lack of a broad variety of additional traits, such as empathy for the emotions of others as well as one's own feelings, would be readily apparent to all parties engaged in a toxic relationship. Individuals that behave in a toxic manner do so with total disdain for the implications of their actions on others, including themselves. A major flaw in their character is their inability to see beyond their own narrow self-centered desires and aspirations. This inability to see beyond one's own narrow self-centered desires and aspirations is also one of their most fundamental limitations, which is one of their most significant flaws. When it comes to open persons with wonderful and generous hearts, toxic people are more likely to like them than they are to prefer closed ones. This is mostly due to the fact that these people will be less likely to abandon their relationships and will be more eager to fight for the survival of their relationship as a result. People of all ages and backgrounds, including the most resilient, can find themselves in a toxic relationship. Despite their best efforts, the longer they stay in the relationship, the more likely it is that they will develop into a smaller, less confident, and more wounded version of the person they were when they first met. Individuals who choose to stay in a toxic relationship will make a continual attempt to make it better, even if the relationship is toxic. And toxic individuals are fully aware of this fact. As part of their broader plan, they have implemented this measure. When a relationship is not functioning correctly, the person who is not toxic in the relationship tends to make the relationship work. And it is through this process that the toxic person obtains exactly what they want, which is control over the relationship. In a healthy relationship, love tends to flow in a cyclical pattern. Yet, it is also true that when you provide love, it is repaid in a similar fashion to how you gave it. In the name of love, you may find yourself in a position in which you are utterly alienated from where you are supposed to be in your life, as a consequence of proper actions of love disguised as frugal and stingy intents. Individuals who are in good health are grateful for the support and encouragement they get from those who care about them, even if it means that certain areas of their life must be altered in order to suit those who care about them. Everyone in the system, whether they are in a two-person relationship or are a member of a huge family, may have challenges when one or more members of the system changes because of negative emotions such as jealousy, inadequacy, rage, and insecurity. Even the strongest and most loving relationships may be vulnerable to being hurt by the success or pleasure of someone else, simply by virtue of our shared humanity. We are all prone to the very common and messy experiences that come as part and parcel with the terrain of being a human being on this planet. The healthiest people will be more robust when confronted with difficult situations, whilst those who are not in the best of health will be pulled apart by the same difficulties. In the event that anything goes wrong, a toxic person is more than likely to shift the blame on someone else, manipulate the situation, and even lie in order to restore things to the way they were as the toxic person takes control of the situation. Individuals are prone to falling into the trap of believing that if they only found a switch, performed less or more, or controlled or manipulated the link, everything would be okay. The reality is that this is not the case, and a great number of people find themselves in a similar situation every day. It's impossible to achieve anything without first admitting the harsh reality of the situation, which is that no matter how hard we try, if anything was going to be different by now, it would have happened by now regardless of our efforts. Even if specific conditions are satisfied, it is conceivable for a toxic individual's behavior to change. Nonetheless, the likelihood of this occurring in any particular context is very low. In any event, you may be certain that nothing anybody else says or does will have any effect on this individual's ability to make decisions and change to become better. There will always be someone or something outside of oneself to blame for the agony. No matter how many broken hearts, broken relationships, and shattered people there are in their immediate vicinity. This is true no matter what the circumstances may be. These toxic folks are unable to live with themselves since they have no sentiments of guilt or feeling of sorrow for the actions that they have committed. An unresolved relationship is more likely to intensify these potentially harmful behaviors in the future rather than aiding them to become less risky in the short term. Let's look at an example of what may happen. Let's assume for a moment that all of your relationships and families are congregated in one location. In this healthy circumstances, individuals will have lots of opportunity to grow and develop their talents, because the design of the space will be flexible and open to change, which then create the environment that assists the growth of one another. But when it comes to a toxic family or a toxic relationship, that form is hard and obstinate to change. This setting does not provide opportunities for growth or for thinking with a wide range of options. The reality is that everyone has a distinct space, and for some individuals, that space will be constrained and severely walled in by their surroundings. If only one family member starts to break free from the constraints of the form, the whole family feels the change in their own unique sections. This means that the form may waver and objects may seem insecure, weaker, or terrifying at some points in time. Even if this is natural, toxic people will go to any extent to restore the system to its pre-disaster state. When people are moving, it is common practice to crumple them up so that they will fit into their new surroundings. Because of a strong sense of love and a tragically misguided dedication, people who are locked in a toxic relationship may make the decision to give up on growth and advancement and return to the rigid and confined space that the toxic person has twisted them into. It will be clear when this has happened because of the soul-sucking misery that comes with being back in the mud with individuals or a person who are so awful to be in the company of in the first instance. So, choosing to be with potentially dangerous and toxic individuals solely on the basis of your feelings for them, or on the basis of what other people may think of you as a result of your actions in this regard, is not a compelling justification for doing so. The version of yourself that they have selected is much less than the version of yourself that you would be if they were not there at any given point in time. While I know that leaving a toxic relationship may be tough, I feel that doing so is always brave and powerful in my view. I hope you will agree. Additionally, it has the virtue of being helpful on a constant basis, and I mean continuous basis across time. What has been concealed behind the poisonous turbulence of the past is now becoming apparent, giving up a window of opportunity for learning and advancement for those who are willing to take the time to look in the appropriate direction. Following a failure to achieve your objectives, it's typical to have feelings of regret and animosity against your family or other individuals with whom you had intended to share significant time in the near future. If they are successful, they may be able to mount a more formidable defense in order to keep you aboard the ship. The thing is, they will certainly be crueler, more manipulating, and more toxic in their acts, considering that this strategy has continuously provided excellent outcomes for them in the past. They aim to use it in the future as well. They have no intention of changing their behavior in the near future. Every word and action that they say or do, no matter how bitter or small-hearted they are, should be seen as fuel that will carry you even farther forward in life. Excessive intake of food, booze, or melancholy in order to force oneself to surrender to a toxic person will not be effective in eliminating a person's toxic behavior. If you shrink in size, bend, or flex in an attempt to get away from where you are, the force of the strike will be far too powerful for you to be able to get away from where you are at, despite the fact that they will eventually catch up with you in terms of growth and healing. Not catch you, but catch up with you. I want you to put your own health and happiness above their desire to impose control over you by prioritizing your own health and happiness in the meantime.